Hey guys, my name is Haley, and yes, we are filming another book haul. No, I will not apologize for it because I am, in fact, saving the books. And they live here now. Now, as I've said several times in the last couple videos especially, I am collecting a lot of books right now due to the state of the world, especially with all the book bans going on. I don't feel bad about it. I'm not spending tons of money. I'm definitely thrifting the vast majority of them, so here's what I picked up in the last, 3 weeks or so from Little Free Libraries, some Goodwill hauls, and I also went to Half Price Books, which I don't go there very often, so I got quite a few things from there. I also could not be bothered to set up my full in front of my bookshelf setup today because it's Sunday and I'm trying to not do a bunch of things because I had a rough week, but so we're on the floor and that's the position we're getting today for the book haul. I think I'm gonna start with my Goodwill books, which I think all of these are mine. One of these might be my partner's. I got The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I read her other book. Oh, what was it called? I don't remember. It was the one about the kid that was trapped in the car and they were all trapped at a rest stop. I really liked that one, so I figured I would pick up one of her newer books, even though it is a mass market paperback and I don't always love those. I picked up a copy of The Midwives. I've heard a lot about this. I am interested in a lot of issues that happened with midwives because they used to be a lot more common. And I've been trying to get into a little bit of historical fiction. Sounds very historical fiction-y, so I thought I'd give that a go. I picked up a copy. This might not have been Goodwill. This might have been a Little Free Library because I don't think I would have picked this up there, but this is just a romance book, The Spanish Love Deception, that I heard about for years. It wasn't one that was on top of my TBRs, but when I found a copy of it for what I'm pretty sure was free, I don't think I bought this. I'm pretty sure this was a Little Free Library find and it ended up in the wrong pile. I figured I would give it a go, and if I don't like it, I will just put it back in a Little Free Library. And I picked up A Thousand Splendid Suns by Colette Hosseini. I never read this one. I read The Kite Runner years ago, and I picked up a copy of that, a used copy of it, for my shelves because it is one of the banned books, and so I figured I would pick up his other book when I found it in paperback. I picked up this copy of a book called Wild Animus, and it is an ARC, and Goodwill was selling it. And this is literally just set in the Alaskan wilderness. And things to know about me, anything that is set in Alaska, for whatever reason, I will pick up. This is just a fascination I've had for several years now, and I really like Alaska. I don't know what to tell you. And then I picked up a copy of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. For obvious reasons, you've seen me collect any books by Black authors that I found for cheap, and this was the most recent one. Also, sorry if I seem low energy. I've just had the laziest possible weekend, and I was like, oh no, I didn't film a video for next week, and I don't like missing more than 1 week in a row. I already missed last week's upload, so we're just putting something up. But I also got A Journey Within an Introspective Activity Journal to help you get to know yourself better. And I picked this up for the cover because the cover is beautiful, but also it's a journal and it gives you prompts and stuff. And so I've been trying to get into journaling, but I also feel this is something my partner would enjoy, so I picked this up. And then I found a copy of How to Stand Up to a Dictator by Maria Ressa. This is a book that I read on audio last month or the month before. It might have been January, and I loved it and gave it 5 stars. And I found a copy of it, a brand new hardback copy of it at Goodwill, and I was like, well, that's mine now. I was very excited about this. And then also I found the graphic novel version of On Tyranny. I haven't even got my hands on the regular version of On Tyranny, but I've seen everyone and their mother reading it because of the current administration of the United States, and they had the graphic novel version at a Goodwill for $1, and I was like, so I was very excited for that. And then I picked up this book called Voices from the Street, Truths About Homelessness from Sisters of the Road. I don't know anything about this. This is definitely a big issue in America, but around the world, but America is especially bad with it, so I figured it would be an interesting nonfiction look into what is very clearly a big issue. And those were all of the Goodwill. Please don't fall off the table. Thank you. Those are all the Goodwill ones. And then I have a stack of Little Free Libraries. These were not all in the same day. These were spread out over the last couple of weeks. I got this copy of Ward by Margot Scott. I thought this author sounded really familiar. And this just sounds like a romance, possibly a dark romance. Orphaned, homeless, in my family's estate, locked in a trust I couldn't reach until my birthday. This sounds more like a dark romance, if I had to guess, but it was in a Little Free Library, and I feel like I never see these, like, buttery soft, like, dark romance copies in Little Free Libraries around me, so I picked it up. And then I finally found a copy of Check and Mate. I have almost bought this so many times, but every time I see it's in hardcover, and that doesn't match my other Ali Hazelwood, so I was so excited to get this for free in a Little Free Library. This might be my favorite Ali Hazelwood. It's between this one and The Love Hypothesis. I really enjoyed both of them. And then I picked up a book that I remember being big on BookTube years ago. It was called Darling Rose Gold. I don't really remember what this is about. I think it's a thriller. Oh, this is the one about the girl who's allergic to everything. I do remember this, yes. And this also, where are they? This Little Free Library had a bunch of stickers, so I picked up a couple. They had Hot Girls Read Smut. You see that? We have No Plot, Just Smut, which is cute. Probably Reading Smut. Yes, they were all smut stickers. And then my personal favorite was Smut and Butts. So I threw those in here to keep them safe. And then on a completely different vein, we have a book called Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. This was in a Little Free Library that was not on the map. Like, I just happened across it while we were Little Free Library hunting. And this seems to be a modern classic on racism and Black America. Possibly Indigenous. I think it is mostly about racism in general, though. So I picked this one up. This was clearly a kid's, like, used copy. Then I have a couple Native books. We have Native American Voices, a history and anthology. This was clearly somebody's textbook. It had, like, stickers and stuff on it from, like, a school textbook. And as you know, me and my partner are very interested in Native culture, so we have a whole little shelf over there of Native books, and this is going right on there as soon as I haul it. I swear, every time I go to film on the weekends, I get interrupted somehow. But anyway, if the angle changed, I got a phone call. But next up, we have Major Problems in American Indian History. This is also a textbook. One of these authors seems to have written a lot on Native Americans, and the other person is a professor. So figured I would check this one out. We have The Architect of Genocide, Himmler and the Final Solution. This is about World War II with Hitler and somebody named Himmler. I apparently just don't remember many names of people involved in World War II, even though I feel like half of my elementary and middle school and high school schooling was about World War II, which is always why I'm baffled when kids nowadays don't even know anything about it, which terrifies me and makes so much sense as to why we are in the position that we are right now. But been collecting the World War II books, if you didn't know. And then there's this Little Free Library that's a little bit further away, so I don't go to it very often, and they had 3 really interesting sounding nonfictions. So we have The Great Hurricane of 1938. This sounds like this is one that hit New England, which I've never heard about. So I was like, I need to read about that. Then we have The Worst Hard Time, which is about the American Dust Bowl, and as companies in particular are destroying more and more of the United States and Canada and are trying to get around laws to do that is protecting our environment and trying to slow global warming, a lot of people are afraid that we're going to have another Dust Bowl. So I was like, oh, now's the time to read about that. Because I definitely learned a little bit about it in school, but not very much. So I wanted to top off that education. And then we have The Great Influenza, the deadliest plague in history, which this is the Spanish flu, I believe, which is what it became known as. So we had that one. And then last but not least, I went to Half Price Books. We went up to Lyndhurst, which is like up north for me, and we checked out a Half Price Books that I forgot was up there because I never go up there, and when I do, it's to visit friends, not actually to go book shopping. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a Half Price Books near you. And since our plans got cut a little short, I was like, we're going up there. So we got Twilight of Democracy, The Seductive Lure of Authoritarianism by Anne Applebaum. This is a book I have had checked out on audio several times, but have not gotten around to, so I was glad to pick up a physical copy. And then they had so much romantasy, which was very exciting for me, because when I used to go to Half Price Books, that was not a thing. But I feel like so many of the books have gotten so popular that people are actually getting rid of them as they get new ones, so I benefit from that. And I got a copy of When the Moon Hatched, and this is like the original indie, like, smaller paperback. The one they have out now is like the big floppier one, and this book is huge. And it's also not on KU anymore, and I was very upset to find this out, so I picked up a copy to read physically. I'm thinking about doing a like, is this book worth it? Like, I'm probably gonna make a is Spark of the Everflame worth the hype, and I'm probably gonna do it is When the Moon Hatched worth the hype of like series that are currently ongoing. That's the thing I have in the works, and that was mainly for that video. And then I also have a book I've heard a couple people mention in the last couple months, and that is The Circus Infinite by Con Wong. And I believe this is a queer fantasy, possibly sci-fi. Queer sci-fi. For 9, this is the galaxy's most infamous pleasure moon, and it's here that Jess, a mixed race asexual empath with gravity manipulation abilities, is hoping to hide in plain sight. Queer sci-fi. Very excited for this. Then we have a book that I've never heard of, and that is Master of One. 6 Fey relics, 1 daring thief, the score of a lifetime. Kind of sounds like queer, more queer. Six of Crows. I was not the biggest fan of Six of Crows, but I know a lot of people love it. And this is just like a queer fantasy I've never heard of. And also, the art is beautiful, so I'm going to try it out. Then I have a copy of I Am the Messenger. As you've seen, if you've seen my other book hauls, I've been collecting Mark Zuzak's books. The only one I've read is The Book Thief. I don't think I ever read this one. And then I also picked up Bridge of Clay recently, so historical fiction, hopefully on the TBRs this year. Then we have Rainbow Stories by Lydia Conklin, and this is just queer stories. That is all I remember. Prize-winning collection of queer, trans, and gender non-conforming characters seek love and connection in hilarious and heart-rending stories that reflect the complexity of our current moment. I don't know anything else about this. It was $5 in the like sale section of half price books, so I love the cover. Might have been a cover buy. I don't want to talk about it. Then we have this gem that I thought was interesting to see at a half price books, and that's Red State Blues, stories from Midwestern life on the left. So leftists who live out in the Midwest, aka me, and stories of people who are like blue dots in red states. Me. So for $5, I was like, yep, I need that. Then I picked up a copy of Dread Nation. This has started circulating again. I remember when this series was coming out and people were talking about it all the time, and then it just like dropped off the face of the earth, and I never heard anybody talk about it again. So I don't know if the rest of the series, duology, I don't remember if it was a duology or a trilogy, is any good. But I saw this for cheap, and it's been making the rounds for books written by Black authors because of Black History Month. So I picked up a copy of this because I never got around to it when it was coming out before. And then last was my like prized possession of this entire half price books haul, and they had the next in the series of Heaven Official's Blessing. If you didn't know, I've been meaning to get into this series for years now. I've owned the first two. I own like most of MXTX's books. I own the whole Scum Villain, all 4 of those. I own the first 2 of Heaven Officials, and then I own the first 2 of the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation series. I've been wanting to get into Danmei for years, and I think this is the series I'm going to like the most of her books. And there are 8 of these. I was waiting for the last one to come out. The last one finally came out like within the last year or so. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to start it. And then I was like, but if I start it and I don't have all of the volumes, I'll be very sad because I hear that this is very, very, very bingeable. So when I saw the third one, which is the next one of the ones that I still need for like $10, which these are not necessarily that cheap. They go for like anywhere from $10 to $20, depending on where you're picking them up from, even used. I squealed in the middle of the half price books and I bought it. So I am trying to collect all of these, and when I do, you will finally have a video of me reading Heaven Official's Blessing. But yes, that was the last of the books that I picked up in the last couple of weeks. I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know which of these books sounds the most interesting to you down in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time. Hopefully with something that is not a book haul, because I feel like that's all I've been posting lately, but I'm not complaining. Are you complaining? I don't know.